Welcome back to another episode of Viva La Cats, where your Bearcats will take on the Northwestern State Demons. Rah. I don't know. This is just gonna be a new thing for our show. Just gonna make some you gotta get we need like radio music to make it like really extreme and intense. Maybe we'll do that eventually.
Sounds good to me.
We're looking for an intro. That should be it. Yes, welcome back to another episode of Viva La Cats. I am your host, Justin Isles, accompanied by my great friend, Steve Maurer, and we are here to give you the very best of the Cincinnati Bearcats every single week. And this week, they play the Northwestern State Demons, not from the Pacific Northwest, but from the northwest corner of Louisiana, where it just makes perfect sense. We've got a lot on the schedule today, so we're just going to run through a lot. But to start off, Brazil mentioned, brother. Anybody who knows the meme, Brazil mentioned. The Bearcats have officially filled out the last roster spot left, which was vacated by Jizzle James upon his departure from the Bearcats, and they have filled it finally. Steve, how do we feel about this? We're going to start off here, and then we're going to move on to football, but how do we feel about this?
Yeah, so this guy, his name is Lucas Atari from Brazil. Was supposed to go to DePaul, but something happened there with the admissions. Couldn't get in. Not entirely sure, but
Another demon on the schedule.
another demon time. So his UC bio is he's a member of the Brazilian national team, shot 38% from beyond the arc and 86% from the free throw line, appearing in 39 contests last season for club team Paulistano. So believe he's like 21 as well. So I'm a big fan of this. Like, we've kind of got some more international flair. I tweeted out the other day, but we've got players from like 8 different countries now on the team, which is pretty cool. And to me, it's interesting that, Wes, on a kind of a prove it year, is like kind of choosing to just fill out the roster with a bunch of like newer guys. So I do think it's probably like a good thing that, because fans knew what that was last year, right? And it kind of just fell apart. But it was nice in an era of constant change in college sports for us to kind of keep a roster together. And it just didn't end up working out. And so, I think a couple people mentioned this, but it's interesting now that, kind of like I mentioned, he's really on the seat now, and he needs a really good year this year to prove that he is able to keep this job. And so it's just kind of surprising to me that it's going to be so much new, but hopefully with that newness, we're able to put something together. And our friend Evan Mia put together his preseason projections today, and he charted the Bearcats at number 28, best team in the nation. So I'm generally positive about it, and we're using our friend Eric Lilly's Bearcat Bunch's mock depth chart here. Atari would probably fit in kind of as like a second, third string shooting guard, depending on when you want to play Keyshawn and Sean. Obviously Sean's going to start at the small forward, but depending on what kind of guard lineup you want. But still, the lineup doesn't change where it's Kirk Kriisa, Dede, Sean, Baba, and Mustafa. So I kind of think that we could see those, we could see Atari kind of get some extra minutes, maybe be that kind of knockdown shooter when we need him to come in and take a couple threes. So, Cincinnati tax, he'll shoot, like 22% from three. And that's just how it's going to be. But, I just want to see, I'm kind of over the analysis now for Wes Miller and for this team. And I kind of just want to see it happen. So, Justin, I think the goal this year for sure is to make the tournament and win a tournament game. Like, just, I think that's a goal that is, not too much to ask. It's going to be a hard place to get with the Big 12 schedule that we have. But real quick, we can go over the non-conference schedule too while we're on basketball.
Actually, yeah, we haven't even covered that.
So real quick, there's only a couple marquee games here. Hosting Dayton on November 11th, the Louisville game at Heritage Bank downtown on November 21st, which I hate.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Friday night, and then we have another Friday night game at that Blue School over there. But Friday night game is a weird one for that. And then we've got two neutral sites after that. We've got a Holiday Hoopsgiving against Georgia in Atlanta. And then we're playing in the Greenville Winter Invitational in South Carolina against Clemson. So I think our strategy right now is to say, okay, what's the closest neutral site to you? We will come to you. Just pay us money. We will come to you. And Justin, you mentioned something on the show that I kind of want you to, or on the account that I kind of want you to touch on, but it definitely didn't feel like we sold off this many games when we were part of the G5.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's kind of one of those things that I don't know if maybe the mentality was that we felt like we had, I don't know, maybe we, I don't know, maybe we feel like we don't need the home court advantage now in the way that maybe we did before. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It really is just all comes down to the money. And I think that part honestly kind of sucks. When you look at the grand scheme of things for the Bearcats, hopefully they're going to not continue to do this, but I'm sure we'll see a few more of these pop up. It seems to kind of be a strategy point for Cunningham just to get some extra revenue this day and age. And when you talk about, the house settlement and the way that those things sort of are lining up for the Bearcats, it's not necessarily the most even distribution for the Cincinnati side. So I think anywhere they can look to gain some extra funds is going to be considered. It just really sucks because, again, we saw the clear outcome in the Nebraska game. I think you see that in a few other of these games that we're going to play later this year. You got to get it figured out. And we're a team that is very capable of hosting some of these programs. It's not like we're in a position where we just don't have the capacity to hold so many fans. We can get the people out there, and we don't have any trouble with that. So I don't know. Like I said, that whole thing is frustrating, but all that aside, I mean, I think at least for the non-conference schedule, I think it lines up really well for the Bearcats. If you do take care of business in some of these games, take care of business in the games that you have to take care of business in. But if you look at the actual schedule that we have a little bit of a tougher non-con than we've had some of the past few years. As far as your marquee games go. So for some of those ones that are mixed in there with the Clemson game, the Louisville game, you still got the Dayton series going, which I love. And of course the shootout, if you can find a way to go 3-1 in that, I mean, you're talking a really good team that probably could be in the top 25. But if we're being realistic with the amount of change, there's probably going to be some bumps in the road. And I don't know, because West has to have a very solid start here to get some confidence from people. And, he's of course going to get the benefit of the doubt. He's going to get the entire rest of the season to get things figured out, but you got to win those games in non-conference if you want to have a shot to make the tournament. It's the Big 12 is in many ways being just kind of railroaded by all the other power conferences right now. I think the ACC is suffering a little bit of that too, but in this day and age, especially if you as one team can get 2 wins over an ACC conference that, is going to try to be vying for some more spots in the tournament later in the season, get them while you can. It's the same thing we're talking about here with football. When it comes to the playoff, you have to beat those teams in the other conferences that are trying to take those spots from you. So, when it gets to those at-large kind of bids, find your way into it, man. We're not going to lock anything up. We know that that's not the situation for this year, but find your way into those at-large bids and get yourself in a really good position. So, it's going to be important to beat teams like that. And so,
yep.
I don't know. All that said, I feel really good about the addition of Lucas Atari. You look into it, his kind of character and as a player. I actually talked to a friend from Brazil, and so I had asked him. It was like, hey, have you ever seen this guy play? Because the city that he is from, my friend, is really heavy into basketball. Even though soccer is the main sport. Football is the main sport in Brazil. He's really into basketball, and so is the town that he's from, because his team is really good. And he had mentioned that he actually watched him play a few times for the Brazilian national team. And one thing that I think is really interesting, which I think this is the last part that we have to mention about basketball, and we'll move on. When you mentioned Wes leaning into a lot of these international players, the thing that he said was that, which really piqued my interest, is that so many of these guys coming from, say, Brazil or Spain or all these other countries coming to America to play basketball, they all want to be in the NBA. And like, they're leaving their families, they're leaving their country, everything they know and they love and they're familiar with, to go play in a very foreign place to them to try to make it big. So like, these types of guys really want it. Like, and I think I'm not going to put anybody else out and say like people do or don't, but like, that kind of character I think is really important. I think that's something that you can see. There's a reason why Wes is leaning into it, and it kind of connected the dots for me that these guys want it, and like they're going to fight for these positions. They're going to fight for their team, and that's what matters to them is winning and putting themselves in a successful situation to take it to the next level. And I think that's just important to keep in mind. I really hope that this team is playing as a team. We've seen a lot of hero ball over the past few years. And it seems like it's all about the individual characters and how do they become a team? How do we make this team a team? And we've always asked about who's going to be the standout leader, who's going to be the go-to guy. Like, what's the baseline? Where's the safety net? Where, there might be, sure, so there's some dogs, but you look at some of the best teams in college basketball right now. I mean, you can name a few of the guys, sure, but like, you just know that team's going to be dominant because they play as a team.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah.
We really need
that. 10 times out of 10. We do need that. So, and it's kind of funny. Like you mentioned the schedule just real quick. It's funny that like, we're going to play, well, one game against the Big East, 2 games against ACC, 1 SEC, and then Dayton, who is just kind of going to be considered as one of those at-large, I don't think the Atlantic 10 is not a mid-major in the same vein as like, some of those other like smaller conferences, but I guess it's technically a mid-major, but anyway, it's just funny that, we're only getting like a small, obviously, you're getting a little bit of a bigger sample size in basketball than you do in football, but I love that we make just such sweeping arguments for conferences based on like, one game of football or 2 games of basketball. Like, I know you can't really play more, but by the way, real quick, do you like that the Big 12 went back to 18 games instead of 20?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think it is good because, it's one of those things where you look at the same thing that we mentioned before. Like, you got to get wins against other conferences, and I think we saw last year, in the same way the playoff happened, the SEC got a lot of like hype and a lot of excitement. And maybe football might not be the best place for us to try to like win some of those games against the SEC. But basketball, I feel like pretty much everybody in the Big 12's got a pretty good shot at beating an SEC team. We all know the SEC is obviously good. They've gotten good. And same for the ACC and all these other conferences. But like, when it comes to that kind of setup, those games are the things that they are actually evaluating later on in the season. So when Cincinnati played Georgia in Atlanta, did they beat an SEC team? Did they do that? And if they did that, like, that checks the box. That helps add value to the Big 12. Takes a little chip off that SEC, crown. And I think it kind of just helps even some things out. And I think as long as you can continue to make sure that you're playing quality opponents with the smaller conference slate, it does a lot of value for your team and for your conference. And again, like, I mean, I know I talked this up the chain, but like, we have to, as a conference, like, win these games because you can feel the pendulum swinging, man. It's happened fast, but it's going to continue to happen. And if we don't start taking care of some of those games as a conference, we're going to quickly find ourselves as, sure, we're in a good conference, but we're not in a conference that really is going to be making noise or is really going to have respect. And when it comes to championships and things like that. You need to be putting yourself in the best spot possible.
Save a Statty Yormark.
Yeah, please. I mean, it's just I think I'm kind of putting the early alarms out on like, hey, there was a lot of momentum coming out of like 2022, 2023 for the Big 12. And you've seen how quickly that momentum is just kind of flatlined a little bit. Maybe not flatlined, it's plateaued. It's plateaued. And it doesn't seem like the conference is getting any more respect or any more trust. If anything, it's going the opposite direction. And so I think that's a bigger conversation. But again, we've got to put ourselves in a really good position here because I'm scared because you can see the takeover starting to happen a little bit.
Yep.
So with all that mentioned, we've talked about all that with basketball, Big 12. The Bearcats played Bowling Green last week, which I'm sure is what most of you are here to actually listen about, is Bowling Green and the preview of Northwestern State, which when we get to that point, it's not our fault. They're the next man up. It's not our fault. They're the next guy on the schedule. I don't know what to tell you. Bowling Green, Bearcats won that game. If you looked at the score, you would have said, not great, but okay. I feel okay about it. 34-20. You watch the first half, you're going to feel pretty solid. You watch the second half, you're not going to be a very happy camper. I think this game was sort of a tale of two halves. I think everything sort of seemed to be going right at the start. Some good plays were being made defensively. I think they were holding up pretty well, apart from a few blown coverages here and there and letting them chip away. They held them to 3 points, which is good. I mean, it's a MAC team, but you held them to 3 points. It's respectable. The second half is where I think some things just got a little out of hand. And of course the Bearcats again winning by 2 scores, winning by 14 there. It's good, but like it's at home, it's a MAC team, and it's a Bowling Green team that I don't know how much respect they're going to get this year, but you got to kind of put the hurt on a little bit more here.
Yeah, when you're letting Drew Pine throw the ball around the yard on you, that's not really a good feeling. Now, obviously, Logan Wilson didn't play in this game, and then Dante Corleone went out during the game, so maybe that kind of hurts us a little bit. Hopefully, those fellas can just heal up for the next 2 weeks because basically we're playing a game, but it's basically a bye this weekend. We'll get to that in a second. It'll be a short preview of this.
Yeah, it'll be very short.
But just real quick, I know the game's been, was last Saturday, but I was able to go for the tailgate, and it was kind of fun, man. It was good. Like, you and I, like, we worked games in college, so we didn't necessarily get the full tailgate experience and like going to a game, like sit in the student section experience from that perspective. But it was just good to be back among the people. Got to see a bunch of people that I recognized and like who recognized me. I'm not very good with names, so sorry about that, everybody. But it was just cool to be part of that. And then obviously the game didn't go fully the way that probably fans wanted, but one, I think that's still fine for fans to have that expectation because it's year 3 now. And 2, I want to commend Satterfield for actually coming out and saying it in his press conference on Tuesday that that's not our standard, and we're took a couple penalties, let them score a few points, and he mentioned there was one point where if we didn't fumble, we could have gone up like 31-3, and instead it's 24-10, and then they make it closer and continue to chip away. And I know people have gotten on him before for kind of being like a oh shucks kind of guy, but I did like hearing that at least. That made me feel a little bit better about like knowing that there's standards and knowing that they knew that they didn't play well enough. Because I kind of think like at least from what we've seen from fans is that people don't really believe that there's as much juice in the program right now, or there's not as much like people trying to get or being excited in general about football right now. And they're gonna the team's gonna have to earn that back. The coaching staff is they're going to have to earn that back for sure. But I think from that standpoint, it was a good thing to at least say that to your fans, and in a way, say that to your team as well. So just because it's like kind of uh, it's just like kind of a good thing to publicly state those.
Yeah, no, and that's important too. Like, I think that's one thing that seems like Satterfield's always sort of had this kind of way of speaking where, again, like some people compare it to like a used car salesman. But he has this way of talking that like just doesn't really convince you that there is like much of a standard. It's just kind of coach speak in a way. And I think like as long as you like actually go out and make those points and make them clear that like you are holding yourself to a much higher standard and that you are looking at those gaps and it's not just like a win is a win. Like we want perfection. We want these things to be shaped up. I think those kind of points that helps. It helps. I mean, in a situation like this, I mean, you don't want this team to be 14 points better than a MAC team at home. Like this team should be at least, you're talking 20 plus up on this team. The Bearcats did not cover the spread in this game. They did not. I think it was, I'm trying to remember what it actually was. I want to say it was maybe like 17 and a half. Depends on where you're getting your numbers. 21 and a half. I saw in a few. So that kind of thing, I think, is one whole situation here. You mentioned Drew Pine earlier, and I kind of want to just talk about this. And this is where, again, a little bit of my concern is for the defense specifically. You saw some points and some flashes again against Nebraska in the first game of the year. You let Drew Pine pick you apart going 29-36. No quarterback coming into Nippert should be doing that. I don't care if you're playing Bowling Green. I don't care if you're playing Oregon. Like somebody should not be that effective in your own house. And that to me, like just showed just how much they could like pick us apart. Again, passing yard wise, like he's only throwing for 270, which is not a ton, but it's still one of those things that you have to make sure that like you're locking those guys down. You're at least, I think it kind of shows that there's still some progress to be made in the secondary, and these guys need to be able to shut down the passing game a little bit more because unfortunately it's still just been too effective. Like you can't have that high of a completion rate. Like it's just not going to fly. Like when you go from playing a MAC team like this, and then you go, I'm a little concerned, Steve. You go from playing Nebraska, then you step down. You're playing Bowling Green at home. And then you step down again because you're playing an FCS team. And then you have a bye week. And then once you finish all of that, you go straight to at Kansas on the road. It's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I like the fact that you got the bye in there. I like the fact that you have all these, you have some rest, get these guys right, get everything figured out. But it's kind of like you don't have that gear up that leads into the Big 12. You're regressing week by week as far as like the level of talent that you have to play against. And I feel like you kind of need those tune-up. Sure, you need the tune-up games, but you need to kind of like, I don't know, progressively schedule-wise, that's the whole thing. But you just need to be able to get into a position where it's like, all right, you have something fresh of like a difficult team that you had to fight for something for. I never really like playing like an FCS team and then going into a bye or going straight to like one of your most difficult opponents, which Kansas is not that, but you got Iowa State after that too.
Yeah. Well, so
again, it's finding things to complain about, but still.
Yeah, I do think that it will be nice to be able to like be fully healthy again before you start in Big 12 play because Kansas is a good team for sure, and like it's going to be like it's going to be a nice test for this team to figure out where they're really at after the Nebraska game. But I'm fine with like going in there fully healthy on the flip side,
Right.
And I think the concerning thing to me is that, if you look at it, like we kind of played a mirror game of themselves. I'm going to give everybody something that I like to use. It's called game on paper, where you can see, EPA per play, EPA per dropback, and the UC's numbers look good for the offense, other than EPA per rush, which was negative 0.35, not great. And then when Cincinnati only had one one explosive rushing play. So and they're only successful on 28% of their plays when rushing the ball, and that's after they ran the ball pretty well against Nebraska. So that was a little bit of a concern to me too. So I agree. I'm gonna kind of hope that it was more of a thing where they kind of let off the gas in the second half, and it kind of just they kind of did college guy stuff and kind of just we're up
Right.
3 scores, and that's not. I don't really think that's a thing anymore, especially in the Big 12. Like we've seen too many crazy comebacks over the years that like you can't let off the gas. Like you got to just keep your pedal to the metal. Like I understand the desire to like naturally just let one go, but you can't just be doing. I mean, you're going to get beat if you kind of let that happen. And they're not letting it happen. I understand, but in a season where you're going to need a few things to go your way to be able to go 6-6 and go bowling or better, you're gonna you kind of need that edge constantly to be able to just make sure that you're not taking penalties. You're control the what you can control, and then hopefully some of the variables go your way. So
yeah. Well, one thing I want to add too, because you mentioned the rushing game, and I think this one to me again was a little lackluster. Granted, I think this is, to me, it's more of them playing their cards at the right time. They know that they need a balanced attack, and so you look at the first game against Nebraska, you have unfortunately 69 passing yards and then 202 rushing yards. You go from 25 passing attempts to 30 rushing attempts. So very balanced. That's a Scott Satterfield memo. That all happened week 1 against Nebraska. You jump into week 2, you have 24 attempts passing. You have 29 rushing attempts. Very balanced again. Pretty much the same kind of memo between the two. Here's my thing. You're at home. You're playing Bowling Green. You're on the road playing at Nebraska. That is at Nebraska at this point. That's how I will evaluate, and that's how I will continue to talk about it. That's how the stadium was set. Again, 25 to 30 attempts passing and rushing. When it comes to how you actually played that out, when you look at the rushing game, you had 6.7 yards per rush. Again, on the road, playing in a very rowdy environment against Nebraska. Again, that's a little bit more of the memo there. I know you aired out the ball a little bit more this past week against Bowling Green, but your rushing attack, 3.7 yards per play on 29 attempts. So quite literally, almost an identical rushing sort of scheme, and your effectiveness almost cuts in half against a MAC team, from a Big Ten defense to a MAC team. And that's kind of where I'm like, those sort of things, I feel like you have to be able to be effective. If anything, those numbers should go the opposite direction in that amount. You should be almost looking at like a first down. And that's no discredit to Bowling Green. That's no discredit to the MAC. It's just, it is the difference in the level of talent and the level of play. And so those kind of things, again, it's really just reading numbers and making things out of it. That's what we're here for. But like, it is one of those things that you have to pay attention to, because like you need to be making sure that you're showing progress in certain areas like that and not regressing. And especially when you do that, and then again, now you're going to play an FCS team. So those numbers should go up still, but it's just, you have to make sure that those kinks are figured out before you go in and you play, your conference slate, and you play a team like Kansas, especially on the road, because that's going to be a tough test.
Brother, you're going to be working out a lot of kinks against this next opponent.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's one of those things. I'll say, like, we've kind of done nothing but like drag them a little bit thus far. On the bright side, there was a nice coming out game for Jeff Caldwell. Like, the receiving core got a little bit of flash in a way that they didn't really get to in the first game against Nebraska. I really liked what we saw from some of the like athletic abilities and catches. Huge play from Royer. They finally threw it over the middle. And what does he do? He goes for like 80 yards. It's just seeing some of those things I felt really good about, and I was excited to see that. And again, like a great game from Jake Golday. Like overall, like there were some really nice standouts here, which definitely need to be commended. But it's just like some of those things about the rushing game too. Like again, you rushing the ball almost 30 times. Brendan Sorsby should not be your leading rusher. Like, just shouldn't be the case. There's some design runs there, but like, get these guys some more action. I know they wanted to air the ball out, but get these guys some action. Make sure that these you have your 1 and your 2s set up really nicely for when you go into Big 12 play for your.
Or the other way around. I mean, he threw for 330 yards, so I'm not saying he shouldn't throw the ball anymore, but like, feature him more often. Then if it's successful, don't save it until you're kind of like, well, shit, we need a couple touchdowns, like you did against Nebraska. Like,
right.
I kind of would just like to see a full game like come together for them, and that'll come along as they they go. But it's I think it's fine to be frustrated though still after it was a win for sure. You end your 6-game losing streak dating back to last season, and you probably should take care of business again this upcoming Saturday, and then you'll be off, and then go to Kansas for the first conference game in the booth. So it's gonna be tough, but I think you just that's kind of why I liked hearing from Coach Satterfield that they weren't overall pleased with their performance, and they knew they could be better, and they were going to go in the lab and get better. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, and again, like, I think you look at the passing game in this game, it was actually very effective, and so those kind of things, like, maybe you're just leaning into that one side because you didn't really get the chance to figure it out in the first game. But I think that's one thing too, is like, sort of like as fans, like, you just want to see the balance, because that is Satterfield's plan. You want to see that balance just really take hold, because that is the whole point of the scheme, is that if one thing's not working, you can lean into the other. The rushing game was working. The passing game was not against Nebraska. So you leaned into the rushing game. And then at the end, you changed your motto, and then you went the opposite way, and it cost you. And so with Bowling Green, it's like, the passing game is working, the rushing game's not. Let's lean into the passing game. So I think that's the nice part about the balance. It's one of those things that that, if we're an air raid offense and we go in to play the best, the best backfield the best secondary in the country, we're screwed. Like, we can't do shit. Like, we got nothing. We got nothing to offer.
So Tennessee going to play Georgia.
Balance. Huh?
I said, so Tennessee going to play Georgia every year.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be interesting too. But it's like one of those things where, like, as long as you have a backup plan and you have an effective backup plan, I think it makes you feel a lot better. So again, I think it's going to be tough. And now, as we transition to talking about this week's game against Northwestern State, again, it's just kind of like the same thing with basketball when you play, I don't know, Eastern Tennessee Tech. Like, what are you really going to learn from this game? Like, you're not going to show anything in your playbook, especially against an FCS team. Unfortunately, they're the next man up on the schedule. It just is how it is. And quite honestly, like, Northwestern State, in the 2 games they've played this year, they played Alcorn State, so they won 20-10. And Steve, as you mentioned to me before the show, that was their first win in how long?
2 seasons. They had not won a game since the 2022 calendar year.
There you go. 22 calendar year. That's pretty tough. And then they went at Minnesota 66-0. What are you going to learn from this game? I think the only thing that we should take away from this game is when you compare it to how they played at Minnesota. How far off are you from 66-0? Are you letting them score? Are they putting 3 points on the board? Are they putting a touchdown on the board? If this team puts a touchdown on the board, I will have problems. I will throw things that I should not throw.
Which quarter?
Any quarter. Maybe I will give them the fourth quarter. I will give them the end of the fourth quarter if they put like the third strings in. But like,
I was gonna say, yeah, you're giving a lot to the scout team guys there, like to be able to like hold up their end of the bargain. But okay,
well, it is an FCS team. There are some good FCS teams. There are some bad FCS teams. This is not like you're playing like some kind of, I don't know. It's not like
North Dakota State
playing like South Dakota or North Dakota State, or or like Montana or something. Like you're not playing like these good quality teams. Like this is a bottom of the barrel of FCS. You need to put the hurt on, and you need to make sure that is very clear. So I don't want to see any like messing around or screwing around in this game. Like this thing, just take care of business and do it very effectively. That's all that I care about. Like look at BYU played Portland State and blew them out 69-0. Do that. Don't do what Kansas State's been doing lately, which brother, I feel bad for you for that pick. That is tough. I do not think that they will go bowling this year based on the way that they have started. It is not looking good. They almost blew one to South Dakota State, 3-point game. They lost against Iowa State, tough opponent. I'll give them that. And then last week, they got absolutely manhandled by the world's $186 billion NIL budget. The United States Army just absolutely plastered them.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better for me,
second half I've ever seen in my life.
If it makes you feel any better for me, Joel has Oklahoma State and West Virginia. So,
yeah, dude, you know what we should do? Like, I know we're not going to change any of the rules. Everything's set, but we should also keep track of the cumulative points for and against, because I would really like if there's got to be like tiers. Like if your team, like if you have Oregon State and Oklahoma State and Oregon's putting like 60 plus on you, there should be some kind of penalty for that. I don't know what it is, but there should be some kind of penalty for that. And I feel bad for Northwestern.
Immediate unalive. should it count? Should it count as a second loss?
Honestly, it could. Like I think if you lose by like more than 30, it counts as a second loss. That should be it. Like that I actually kind of like that rule. And if you win by more than 30, it counts as a second win.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, not against FCS teams. It's got to be against like regular teams. But
yeah. Because can't count that. So Joel, sorry, you just encountered a second loss. We can't change it, but we'll have a fun secondary addition to that for our Big 12 Sure. Steve, is there anything of note to say about this Northwestern State game other than anything we've already said?
No, it's going to be a lot of routes on air. Hopefully, be able to run the ball more effectively. Obviously nothing's in the bag until the clock hits zero if you're a Cincinnati fan of any sport. But just they should be able to take care of business here. And as long as they get out of this relatively unscathed and we're able to see some second string players start, this is kind of going to be hopefully you're not going to hopefully only play a quarter and a half for the starters. You kind of another bye week if they play their cards right. So they'll the starters will have a good hopefully 13 days to fully rest up before they get to Kansas. And I think just that in general, because Kansas will be coming off their fourth game in 5 weeks going into that home game. And the other thing too, no team before they play the Bearcats this year has a bye week. We're getting everybody who's not coming off a bye. Yeah. So
you want to talk about a break. Like that's about as clean as you can get.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Take care of it.
I'm good with it. Yep. And I wish we had Kansas State on the schedule, but other than that,
dude, if there were something I thought I would never say, I wish we had Kansas State on the schedule. I'll just put this as my last thing on Northwestern State. My goals for the game. I've got a few here. Are you ready? I'm going to list off 3, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how many I can remember in this short period of time. 1, the last time that you scored more than 50 points in a game was when you played Eastern Kentucky. Emory Jones's first game, Satterfield's first game with the Bearcats, 66 points. It only went downhill from there. I'd like to see him put up some points. It's an FCS team. Put the hurt on him. You can score over 50, and especially against a team like this that, again, is bottom of the barrel of the FCS. Score 50 points. Prove you can do it. Show it. No reason you can't.
Should we run out of fireworks too, like Minnesota did?
Yes, we should do that too. There should be no more powder left for the cannon. A, do that. B, do not let them score a touchdown. I will accept 1, maybe 2's pushing it. If they're in field goal range twice in this game, I've got a problem. So really, no touchdowns. You get 1 field goal. 2, I'm going to be angry. 2, I'm going to be angry in this game. So again, 50 points. Don't let them score a touchdown. B, C, we're on 3 now. B, C, 3. We're on number 3 now.
A to D.
Number 3, like you have to, I'm talking, I want to see 3 and outs. Like I don't want to see drives from Northwestern State. I want to see 3 and outs. I want it to be consistent. It's not going to be every single time, but I'm saying like this is a type of team you have to shut down when they get out there. Don't let them establish the run. Don't let them establish the pass. Don't let them do anything. Just go out there and be bullies. Like this is what we need to feel better about this team moving forward. Be bullies. Prove that you can do it. Prove that against when you're the far superior talent here out on the field, prove that you are. Like, and just go out there and bully them. There's so many other Power 5 teams that are doing this. There's G5 teams that are doing this. Go out there and do that. Just prove it. Just show it. You know that you're capable of doing it. Beat the crap out of them. That's all I'm asking for. Like, I just want a full beat down this week. I don't think it's too much to ask for, Steve. Am I asking for too much?
No, we should.
My voice is getting higher.
We should beat the crap out of them.
Yeah,
all right?
I want you to beat the crap out of the devils, the demons.
We should beat the crap out of them.
Send the demons back to where they came from.
Exercise the demons. I like that.
Yes, exercise the demons to the wretches of hell.
Get rid of them.
That's all I got. I got those 3 goals. Just put on some points and don't let them score. That's all you got to do in this game.
Beyond demon time, baby.
I don't care. Oh, sorry. Last one. Very last one. You didn't throw any picks against Bowling Green. Great. Don't do it in this game either. Don't lose the ball. Protect the ball. No fumbles. No interceptions. And I better see like a +3 turnover margin here.
Yeah, we need a takeaway. That's another one. That's a good one.
You need to get those takeaways because we've talked about that. That's a huge difference. We don't need to go into detail on it. Get some picks here. Like this is a game that you can do it. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to run the ball. Knock it out. Punch it out. Just play mean in this game, Be the bully. Like there's no niceties here. Be the bully. There's so many other teams that do not care. They will go out there and they will beat the shit out of another team. Do it this week. Pardon my French. It's sometimes like you say it and then like sometimes you say it like really aggressively. That felt like a really aggressive one. Just beat the crap out of them, guys.
Just beat the crap out of them. Yeah. You got to get your Midwestern out,
Yeah.
Shout out to Ed Orgeron, by the way. Northwestern State alum. That's all I got.
There you go. Yeah. Ed Orgeron. Go Tigers. I feel like I might have said that 2 weeks in a row. I don't know if I have.
Go Demons and go Tigers.
It's at least the second time I've said this in the off season or this season. Go Tigers. I say it a lot around work because there's some LSU folks there. So like they still love Ed Orgeron. So like I always go like, hey, go Tigers. Got to keep it in the lingo. Anyways, on to the Big 12 head-to-head. We are in the like latter stages of the show here. We won't keep you too much longer. Steve, we've got an updated tally
we do.
Of
yes,
our
you nicely reminded me when we were talking about that. So real quick, everybody, just so we know, we all drafted 4 teams, and there is a ghost team of 4 teams as well of all 16 teams in the Big 12. You can see our graphic on our different pages, but in short, Justin has Arizona State, Iowa State, Colorado, and Cincinnati. You get 1 point for a win, no points for a loss, and we'll also have a side bet for point differentials or 30-plus point wins. Justin, ASU lost this weekend, unfortunately. So you drop to a total of 6-3. Iowa State, got their 3rd win of the season. So it is now you have 6 wins and 3 losses to your name. Joel has Texas Tech, TCU, and then the bottom 2, Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Those 2 might be rough this year for him. And so he has 5 wins and 2 losses to his name. Myself, I have Kansas State. That one might be rough for me. Kansas, BYU, and Arizona, both 2-0 teams. Kind of shocked by that. So we'd like to see that. And then the Ghost team has Utah, Baylor, UCF, and Houston. All 4 Ghost teams won this weekend. So they have 7 wins. I have 7 wins. Justin has 6, so you're 1 off the total, and Joel has 5, so he's already 2 off the total. And if that,
Joel's got an interesting balance there.
yeah, so he's really hoping for TCU and Texas Tech to like shoot the money cannons and let it roll this year. But we'll see. He should get at least 2 wins on Saturday. I don't know if Oklahoma State is playing this weekend, to be honest. They probably need a week off after that, just absolute killing. So
Oklahoma State is on a bye this weekend.
Okay, well, there you go. They needed it.
Yeah.
Come back and lick their wounds.
Yeah, I think we're off to an interesting start this year. I'll just say that much.
For sure.
The top is the Big 12 is Big 12ing. That's really all that needs to be said. Like it is
Big 12ing.
It's doing exactly what you would expect, which is the unexpected all the time. Real quick, I'm just going to fly through the schedule. I feel like we try to pick games. I think we're just going to fly through the schedule and then talk about the one or two that we find the most interesting. Real quick, for all of you Big 12 fans and alike, here you go. Colorado at Houston this weekend. You also have Kansas State at Arizona, and then you have on Saturday.
Not a conference game, by the way. Just an old.
Not a conference game. Yes,
it is a Big 12 game that became a conference game.
Yes. Saturday you have Samford playing at Baylor, Oregon State at Texas Tech, Pitt at West Virginia with the backyard brawl, Northwestern State at Cincinnati, Iowa State at Arkansas State, Utah at Wyoming, Abilene Christian at TCU, and Texas State at Arizona State. So not the craziest slate this week. It is a little bit of that week 3 tune-up, but there are still some interesting ones in there. I think the most important one to me of note, which is going to decide a lot, it's going to be for the bottom half, could be a potential mid-tier team. We'll find out. The jury is still out on Houston, but the Colorado at Houston game, I think, is actually going to be the most interesting game out of this entire week. Pitt at West Virginia definitely takes its reins because it's a rivalry game. We get it. But Colorado at Houston, Colorado is still figuring a lot out. And Houston seems to have at least a little bit going for them thus far. Like they haven't played really anybody of note yet. They played I always forget what's the SF in Stephen F. Austin. That's what it is. Stephen F. Austin and Rice. And pretty resounding defense from them on both sides. 27-0, 35-9. I think that's off to a good start, but they actually look pretty solid in those games. And so I'm curious to see how Colorado can match up. Houston's not a super rowdy environment, but there'll be people out there and it's going to bring some eyes on it.
Well, and the other thing too is
I'm really curious to see how it goes.
Colorado is bringing out their third string quarterback to start this game, Ryan Staub, after he performed well in their game last weekend against Delaware.
Who did you say?
Martin Luther King Staub.
There you go.
Yes,
Martin Luther King Staub.
Martin Luther Staub over here. Context for everybody who doesn't know. Ryan Staub, after the game, in a post-game interview with the Fox crew, said, "I had a dream about playing," and Deion took that to make a joke and say, and call him Martin Luther Staub off of the famous "I Have a Dream."
And that name's going to stick.
Yes,
that name's definitely going to stick, especially if he continues to start. It's going to stick.
Justin, this is a great time of the college football season when we're starting to get like our season-long memes that we're going to just hit for the next 12 weeks. Like, for example, the Dan Lanning taking everything as a slate. That's already started up, which I'm a big fan of. And Martin Luther Staub so far. So, we got a good start so far.
The meme team's off to a great start.
Yeah. And Justin, I'll read off the rest of them if that's all right with you. So we've got for Saturday games, obviously Northwestern State at Cincinnati, Samford at Baylor, not Stanford, but Samford. Pittsburgh and West Virginia, backyard brawl, although West Virginia just lost their best running back, and I don't really know what else they'll have for that game. So we'll see. We'll find out. Oregon State at Texas Tech. Oregon State probably had the funniest clip of the weekend last week where their own coach called their special teams a bleeping joke after they ground punted. I'd never seen this before. A ground punted ball was returned by one of the punt return team for one of the gunners of the punt return team for a touchdown right before halftime. So weirdly enough,
game where Texas Tech might absolutely obliterate their opponent, mind you.
Yeah,
23.5-point spread, they might obliterate that.
They should. Indeed. And then we've got Iowa State at Arkansas State, Utah at Wyoming, 2 Big 12 teams going to G5 teams. Don't know why Iowa State's going to Arkansas State, but put a hurting on Butch Jones for us, Cyclones. You know what to do. And then we've got ACU against TCU, which is Abilene Christian against Texas Christian, although I guess they prefer just TCU now. They don't like the Texas Christian thing. I don't know. And then the nightcap, 10:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Desert time, Texas State at Arizona State. Sun Devils are favored by 3 touchdowns. They're going to look to get back. But that Texas State team, they played tough with UTSA last weekend. So
they burned me.
Yeah, they did.
They burned me.
Yeah,
once again,
they got you good. So I'm just should be an interesting weekend. I kind of want to see how much Utah takes care of business by, because they should. I don't think that will phase them going to Laramie like it did Texas Tech a couple years ago. But
right,
we'll see. But not the craziest Big 12 slate this weekend. I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I said, I think to me the most interesting one is because it's actually just conference matchup is the Colorado-Houston one. I think that's gonna be really interesting and honestly decide a little bit of that early season trajectory for both of these teams. No matter how that pans out. But again, lots of tune-ups here. And quite honestly, I know we kind of just glanced over real fast. The backyard brawl this year, realistically, West Virginia probably should get the breaks beat off of them based on how they performed thus far. But I don't know, man. That game's always weird. So
also, something I didn't think about until I was listening to Philip and the boys on the 10-12 Picks pod earlier today. Shout out to Phil. So this is Rich Rod's first backyard brawl since he left after the 2007 season, when obviously West Virginia lost its chance to go to the national championship game with a loss at home to Pitt. So one of the hosts on that show was talking about how he hopes Rich Rodriguez has been drawing up plays for 18 years just to try and get Pitt back one more time. I don't think so. I think he probably moved on to Michigan pretty soon after that, kind of left that all in the dust. But you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping so because, we like Pitt to eat feces in West Virginia and in Cincinnati. So,
Steve, we say it right around here. Eat shit.
Come on. Yeah, that's right.
Eat shit, Pitt. That's right. That's right. We say it right around here. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see if they can fix their season for West Virginia. And again, we say it time and time again. More and more value comes out of just beating these other conferences. And this is a great opportunity for them this week. That is everything in a lengthy pod where we've talked about a bunch of different little tangents here. But lastly, Steve, the beautiful burrito that is the Bearcat Sports Wrap Up. Send us off.
Let's get it. So let's start off with volleyball. They had a crosstown sweep this week in front of a big crowd at Fifth Third Arena. Volleyball swept Xavier at home, extended their win streak to 4 matches after sweeping the Chattanooga Classic over the weekend with wins over Jacksonville State, Ohio, and Alabama. This weekend, Cincinnati will head out to play in the Linda Herman Classic against Illinois and Illinois State. Congrats to Coach Tomich, by the way, for starting her career at UC with a 5-1 record. So congrats to her. Big start, things we love to see. Let's keep it moving. Cross country, real quick, both teams will head out to the Spartan Invite this weekend. Shockingly, that is in East Lansing, Michigan, home of the Michigan State Spartans. And then we're going to hit golf here. Men's golf, Cincinnati finished 3rd in the Folds of Honor Collegiate this past week in Michigan, with sophomore Leo Wessel finishing tied for 2nd overall in the individual rankings. They will the men's golf team will host the Bearcat Classic next week at Coldstream Country Club here in Cincinnati. Women's golf, Cincinnati finished 13th of 20 in the Golf Week Fall Challenge this past week in South Carolina, and they are on a bye for the next week. And soccer just completed 2 ties against Pitt and NKU, 1-1 each this past weekend. Bark in the Park Day was on Sunday, so shout out to all the doggos that got to go see some soccer. They have a week-long break before they start conference play next Thursday on the road at Houston. So, and that is your Bearcat sports wrap-up. Honestly, Justin, not as much going on in the fall as in years past. So, once winter starts rolling around, that's when we get all the sports going, baby. Like that's when there's about 10 sports going at the same time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Steve, I have a trivia question for you. Speaking of dogs and soccer, you ready? What was the name of the movie starring golden retrievers in which they played soccer?
I mean, Air Bud.
Air Bud what?
Oh, I don't know the specific.
Air Bud World Pup.
There
you go. Air Bud World Pup. They love their puns. That is your trivia.
There was Air Bud Golden Receiver, and then Air Bud. The original Air Bud was basketball, right?
Yeah, I think. Well, it was just Air Bud playing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it was just like there was no other name. So we tried to get. We learned too late about the national casting call for Goldens because our pup of what it might have been a good selection for that, but right.
You got Golden Receiver and Air Bud Spikes Back for volleyball, which is just like, I mean, man, come on. You want to talk about just a legendary name? I forget what the baseball one is. Let me see. Hold on. I can find it.
That one's probably a straight to VHS tape if I've ever heard it.
There you go. 7th inning fetch. How wonderful.
There we
God,
go.
some of the best puns in movie history coming from those games right
there.
There.
Exactly.
Gotta love those Air Bud movies. Shout out. I think they're actually making a new one.
That's what I was saying, Justin. If you were just listening. Jerk.
Yeah. Steve, if you were listening, you might not have read off the entire rest of the Big 12 schedule after I went through it. But that is for another day, my brother. Yeah, I got to roast you now. That's fine.
It's all fair in love and war, baby.
Yeah, we talk a lot here. So sometimes you're focused on the next thing you're going to say, and then you just lock in. That's part of the podcasting business, folks.
The male urge to just say lock in. Lock in.
All right. That's all we got, folks. We're going to get out of here in less than an hour. Probably kept you way more than you were expecting for the Northwestern State preview. Again, it is not our fault. They're next on the schedule. These guys, hopefully, they're going to take a beating this week in Nippert, and that's all that we're hoping for. Maybe you guys can enjoy a nice tailgate if you're going to the game. If not, drink some brewskis with some friends. Hopefully there's Cincy Light Lime. Shout out there, and we would still love to work out that ad because I could use some free Cincy Light. That's it, folks. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the games. Go Big 12. Go Bearcats. And thank you once again to the 1012 Network for always supporting our show. We love it. And shout out to our overheads there. Steve, viva la Cazza. Send the demons back.